What's up, everybody? James Duggan with IGN. Joining me, Stella Chung. Say hello, Stella.
What's up?
There you go. Well done. We're going to be talking about Season 2 Apex Legends I got to play last night. This is my gameplay that I recorded the very first night of Season 2. I was playing ranked, trying to crawl out of bronze, as everybody is right now. And I have to say, I think I'm in love. I really, really like this update. Stella, what's your favorite part?
The big space cows in the middle of the map.
There they are. Are they on screen? Yeah, you can see a leg. See, it looks like a giant tree trunk, and I'm not going to look up at it because I'm trying to win right now. But they're so interesting because they're not necessarily, they don't confer some kind of crazy gameplay thing, right?
Mm-mm.
But the only time you interact with them is if they step on you, which that's not going to happen.
They also have a really weird hitbox. When you're skydiving, you have to be careful because they actually have a pretty big hitbox.
Mm. So my experience with rank last night is elo hell is totally real. The folks in bronze, which we all are at this point, some people may have crawled into silver at this point, but it's rough. It's rougher than regular queue, which is very strange to me. But the thing I guess I like about the space cows, and this kind of speaks to the larger aesthetic, the Leviathans, they've just destroyed everything. So there's this duality between this really, really clean looking like metal stuff we see here, which this is bridges, and then the destroyed buildings of old. Do you like this new aesthetic? Do you like what's happening with the map?
I do. I really like it. And you mentioned ranked, and I think it's really interesting that they decided to put in all of these map changes as they drop ranked, because it kind of puts everyone on the same playing field in terms of, maybe someone had a special part of the map that was their map, like they felt like they really ruled it. But because everything is kind of new, I feel like that just kind of puts everyone on an even playing field.
I agree.
Because now you have to learn it all while you're also trying to climb out of elo hell. So.
Yeah. What was interesting about that little bit just there where I was shooting that person near the Watson Ultimate was you heard the shield break sound like 10 frickin' times because it just kept ticking and recharging the shield.
Yeah.
I played a little bit as Watson. I have to say, like in Overwatch when a new hero comes out and you're just like, this isn't for me. That's kind of how I feel about Watson. I don't think she's bad per se, but what is your initial take on her?
I think she's really good early game because you can draw her fences as soon as you drop, because it's kind of like
Caustic.
Yeah, Caustic.
Yeah, she's very analogous to Caustic.
Yeah, it's like the Caustic gas canisters, especially in bunker. But she can kind of make anything her bunker, since it's pretty much a fence that you can draw around people. So, and that's really good early game and late game.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think the interception pylon is more defensive, defense-oriented than Caustic's grenade. So Caustic and Gibraltar got a buff. Again, the passive damage reduction went up to 15%. Oh, hey, here's a Leviathan. Look at that boy. Look at his big old foot.
He's just throwing a tantrum. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, what's great is he's bringing all this wanton destruction, and yet he just wants to eat the tree.
I know, it's so
He just wants to eat the tree. That's all he wants. Here's the L-Star. This is the new weapon. I didn't get the memo on not holding down the trigger in this clip, so forgive me, but still
Come on,
okay.
I did a video on it. You didn't watch it?
Yeah, it was. Anyway, so yeah, it's a drop-specific weapon. However, you can get it right at the start of the match because there are now drops kind of coming down early in the game, which is actually a change that I didn't really hear much about beforehand, but I love that that's a thing because it really kind of lets you play it by ear as you're dropping in to go towards these drops and get some really, really good starting items.
You didn't watch my video where I said there was going to be an update on the airdrops. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
it's fine.
Where would I watch that video, Stella, just in case I had missed it?
IGN.com
Bam!
and
Look at
IGN's
that.
YouTube channel.
You've been here like a month and you're already nailing it. Well done. Who's out on the ground there? Who am I playing with?
We're not going to pay attention to the person who's on the ground, but yeah, that's me, Ramen Kitty Fox.
I think this was our very first match in Season 2, and that's how it all ends. Then we have this Watson clip coming up. So my experience playing as Watson, didn't love it, but my experience playing against Watson, this clip specifically, was the first time that I was like, okay, I see why she could be very good. So there's this team. My team is, who knows what they're doing. They're path health, not helping me fight, whatever. In fact, watch this. I go in here, and then I come back out. The guy closed me in, Pathfinder.
Oh, my God.
Frickin',
That's
anyway.
amazing.
So he decides not to push.
You decide to do it.
I had to go straight through. I don't really know what these things do yet, but I find out. The effect is very similar to getting hit with an arc star, and the fact that you can't turn as quickly is really, I think, maybe the strongest part of the kit.
Yes. So I don't know if you played Titanfall 2, but I believe her kit is modeled somewhat after Ion, the Ion Titan. So it's very interesting to see that played with a person, and having her, like, the abilities are a little different because I think the fence also alerts you of people that are nearby. So I think that's really useful, especially if you're worried about being flanked.
Yeah. She just doesn't have a giant chest laser, but maybe that'll be the next hero.
That would be so cool.
So the other thing I want to talk about here, I actually don't have one, but the extended energy mags, just the viability of energy weapons. They've been pushing energy weapons, obviously, with the introduction of the Havoc for a very long time. I've always said that energy weapons are something that there needs to be a critical mass of usability in the sense that other people are using them, not just you. Because in order to use a weapon for it to be viable, you need to be able to loot and scavenge ammo off people's corpses. And so you can see this guy's energy ammo, blah, blah, blah. So I think we finally hit that. Energy weapons are here. They're real. Here's the disruptor rounds, which are just nasty, dude. I think it's the most OP thing. Especially on the alternator. But I'm happy. Like, I like the Havoc. Getting the turbocharger is cool. That said, I can't really stop using my 301.
I know.
It's
like,
so good.
I want to use the alternator more because in Titanfall 2 it's actually pretty good. It's one of my weapons of choice. So seeing that kind of nerfed in Apex Legends was a little disheartening until today, until this update. And that's kind of awesome.
Yeah, I really think the linchpin of why energy weapons are now viable or maybe even optimal in some capacity is the extended energy mag. I love that this guy's just like, oh, hey, what's up? Yeah, the fact that you can increase the capacity on weapons that feel like they were already balanced for an environment where you don't have that is very, very good. This Octane was very wily. And overall, I guess I just like seeing a greater diversity of weapons being used. Going back to the disruptor rounds real quick, I've seen a lot of alternator usage. Are you like interested in trying out some of these older weapons? Are you like...
Of course, yeah. I think it's also important that early fights feel viable because a lot of people don't want to play because they're just like, oh, every time I drop, I feel like I can't find a good weapon. And before, I used to see a lot of drops where people would just avoid pistols because they're like, I'm better off just punching. So I think it's good that now there are more gunfights. People feel like other weapons are more viable and you just see a lot more survivability.
Yep, that gold P2020 is no joke whatsoever. This guy using the... I can never remember the name of that weapon because I hate it so much.
Mozambique?
No. It's the, like, charge up LMG energy...
Devotion.
Devotion. I freaking hate the Devotion. The sound, the aesthetic, everything. But you know what I don't hate the aesthetic of? All the Season 2 Battle Pass stuff. Look at that segue.
Oof, look at this king. Look at him.
Arthas. Yeah, so I think one of the biggest points of feedback for Season 1 was the aesthetics kind of sucked with the exception of the Havoc skin at the end, then maybe like a couple of other skins, but...
Oh, they snuck in the Wraith skin, too.
They did. Yeah. They paid dividends a little bit, but I think overall in terms of like what you're looking at in terms of Fortnite's value, the Apex Battle Pass didn't feel as enticing. This time around, what do you think? Do you think that this Battle Pass is more enticing?
I definitely think so, which is why I may already own the Battle Pass.
Yes.
Yeah, because the last one I definitely was a little bit hesitant on until they updated their Battle Pass with the events late game, or late season.
Yep.
Which I think they definitely needed a little bit sooner, but they're doing a great job with this now with the dailies and weeklies. Like, that entices people to come back. Like, hey, you can actually progress through the Battle Pass a lot faster. Also, with the ranked system, people might want to play more since they might be able to, play with their own, what's it called, skill groups.
Yes.
So, but that climb.
That climb is like, shout out to Steven and Jess if you're watching this. You. Play with me. This is like the only time that I've felt, 3 has always been the magic number for Apex Legends where it's like, hey, this is great. There's always 3 people on. Now, for whatever reason, there's always 4.
Yes.
I never freaking included. Stella, you got to jump on. You got to
know.
carry me, bro. So there's also this music stuff. Overall, I have been riding the Apex high since launch, even through the kind of drought in Season 1. I was active. I'm going to continue to be active, SKYDIVE, EMOTES, all this great stuff. There's a lot of things to work for. We didn't really even touch on the daily challenges, but those are interesting. I don't know how I necessarily feel about those, like kind of being forced to drop pit to try and get like a melee kill is kind of weird when I'm trying to climb ladder.
But you're not really forced. It's just an option if you want to progress faster.
Yeah.
So you totally can ignore like that day's challenges if you don't like them. You're not
I
being
feel
forced
like
to,
I'm being
James.
forced.
Oh
Why are
my
you
God.
forcing me to do things, Respawn? Anyway, closing thoughts?
Oh, Bloodhound's rework, his
Yes.
scan rework looks clean. Thank you so much, Respawn. That is amazing. It looks so good.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I highly recommend you check out Stella's video as well as dive into the Apex Season 2 patch notes. There are a lot of smaller changes we didn't cover, and even some larger changes we didn't cover just because I didn't necessarily have hands-on time with them last night. But we'll be posting more gameplay, we'll be posting more stuff. My closing thoughts are I'm totally enamored, and I cannot wait to play more. So for all things Apex, keep it right here on IGN.